storms. They bring us driving rain, thunder, and lightning, such as this spectacular light show over Sydney. Destructive winds, as seen in this Japanese typhoon. Here's a man on a scooter trying to stay upright during these terrible winds. But the winds prevail. So much death and destruction. What could possibly be the benefit of these whirling clouds of death? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because in this clip, we're gonna explore 5 of the most beneficial storms that's ever occurred. Number 5. Kamikaze of 1274. Benefits: wrecked the Mongol fleet and the threat to Japan for now. First cab of the rank is the Kamikaze of 1274. I've got the date in the description, but I can't be bothered going back and getting it. Anyways, autumn 1274. It goes into details. The Mongols were really good against the Japanese fighters and all that, but they were afraid of reinforcement and they ran back to their ships. Unfortunately for the Mongols, a typhoon stretched out its stormy hands and made a dog's breakfast out of the fleet, leaving only a handful left. All these ships were destroyed. Japan was protected. It didn't really do any damage to anything Japanese. But nonetheless, the Mongol threat was gone. For now. Number 4. Kamikaze of 1281. Benefits: rocked the Mongol fleet like a hurricane. 7 years later, the Mongols assembled an even bigger fleet with even more soldiers. 4,400 ships to about 140,000 soldiers, to be precise. And, well, the Japanese were kind of waiting for them. They did construct a wall on that beach, because the Mongols attacked the exact same place they did 7 years earlier. Unfortunately for them, though, the Mongols, that is, they were wrecked by, you guessed it, another typhoon. The Mongols would never again set sail for Japan. On an interesting side note, Marco Polo was in the court of the Mongols at the time. Number 3. Spanish Armada storm of 1588. Benefit: eliminated military threat to England. Now this source is from NASA, and 1588, this is the Spanish Armada storm. So the storm didn't really occur until after the Battle of Gravelines, and, well, take note, because the Spanish fleet, much of them cut their anchors just to get away from the fire ships that the English had sent to them, because they were flaming and explosive, and on a wooden ship you kind of don't want your ships to be explosive and on fire. So they cut their anchors to get away from the fire and explosives. Anyways, I've underlined 3rd or 4th, because that's where the English pursued them to. I'll show it to you on a map. Oh, come on. Here it is. Put it on the drawer. Make it green. There we go. Now things get rather hairy around there, and one can't help but believe that the English knew this. So, show it to you in blue. This is the path of the English. Rough path. They headed back to England after they reached the Firth of Forth, which was under the control of Scotland. Yes, Scotland and England were different countries back then. Anyways, here's the rough path of the Spanish Armada. And around here, around this northern part, they encountered storms. It gets pretty hairy up there, as I said earlier. And because so many of them cut their anchors, they were unable to ride out the storm. And the storm killed at least 50 of those ships. Maybe the storm occurred, well, around here, because, well, maybe they went that way. You can find it in the sources I've given you, but meh, I'm not going to really say anything here. It is also known as a Protestant wind, as Spain down here is Catholic and England was Protestant, and the Spanish kind of wanted everyone to be Catholic. Nevertheless, the storms did help England, and they were never again a threat to mainland England.
Number 2. Hurricane Vince. Benefits: filled dams and put out fires.
Hurricane Vince. What can we say about Hurricane Vince? Well, he's notable for 3 things. First, forming so far east, which is unusual for a hurricane. Secondly, it was allegedly the first ever hurricane, tropical hurricane, to make landfall in Europe. And third, in keeping with this list, its benefits. Not its destruction, but its benefits. Because it didn't do much destruction. I can't even find a monetary figure on it. Allegedly it damaged roads and motorways that were under construction, which I can imagine are not cheap. But obviously it didn't make a big enough dent for us to even find these figures. So it couldn't have cost that much. Anyways, it's notable for bringing much needed rain because Spain was in a drought at the time. It needed rain, needed water in the reservoirs, in the dams, and it had some fires to put out. So this hurricane pretty much destroyed some of the fires and helped break drought a bit, but it didn't really do that much, to be honest. Granted, the rain was much welcome.
Number 1. Cyclone Esther. Benefits: created waterfalls, topped up dams, and cooled the place down.
Now, Cyclone Esther. This is a storm that started this list, that inspired this list. Now, this is also the most recent, but also the most beneficial in terms of benefit to destruction. Well, the Kamikaze typhoons of 1274 and 1281 rocked the Mongol fleet like a hurricane, and the Protestant wind scattered the Spanish fleet beyond all recognition. This one brought much needed rain, made that river in the picture flow again, and created a beautiful waterfall. It filled dams, it watered crops, it quenched the thirst of cattle, and it made many people happy. As you can see, it doubled back. People are usually glad to see the back of a storm, and not very happy when it comes back and hits them. Cyclone Esther was different. When it doubled back and hit them, they were glad it came, because they certainly needed that drink. They were thirsty. So, yeah, it cut off a few roads, sure, but look at them dance. Look at that waterfall. And look at those happy faces. What's not to love? I couldn't get an exact monetary figure onto the damage Esther has caused, but there were no fatalities, just cooling, just rain. And it spread throughout Australia before dissipating around Tasmania somewhere, according to other sources. But nevertheless, Esther was all gain and no pain, which is unusual for a cyclone. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.